Hey guys, welcome to Elevated Systems. I'm your host CJ, and today we're going to continue looking at the new M1 Mac Mini and seeing how it performs in my day-to-day workflow. If you're new to this particular series, you can find a playlist in the description below that includes all the previous videos on the Mac Mini if you want to check those out. But the basic concept here is that I, as a lifelong PC user, am taking several weeks and basically replacing my workstation PC with the base model M1 Mac Mini and doing all my day-to-day workflow on it, and I'm sharing the experience with y'all, letting you know my thoughts on its strengths and limitations. Today, I'm specifically looking at 3D modeling, design, and rendering using primarily Autodesk Fusion 360, as well as attempting some 3D print slicing in Cura, and we'll take a very brief look at SketchUp. But mostly, we'll be looking at Fusion 360 as that is now the primary 3D CAD program I use for prototyping and designing anything from 3D printed components like this cable guide or more complex components like water distribution blocks or complete custom PC cases. Now, full disclosure, I'm relatively new to Fusion 360 as I recently switched over from Inventor, and while a lot is the same between the two, a lot is different, so I'm far from a Fusion expert, but I know enough to be dangerous. So let's just jump into a full project that I completed on the Mac. Now, Fusion has not been updated for Apple Silicon yet, so the version I'm using is the Intel Mac version that's been translated by Rosetta 2. And that goes for all the software I'll be using in this video today. Now, this project took about 30 minutes to complete, but we'll run through it at 10x speed here, and some of you might eventually recognize what it is. I'm not going to give it away yet, other than to say it will be a 3D print project. There'll be an entire video on it, but if you think you recognize it, leave a guess in the comments. Anyway, there isn't too much to comment on here. The design and modeling process went smoothly. There were no problems working the viewport, no lags or freezes. I didn't expect there to be, as Fusion 360 and most CAD software are very single core dependent, and the M1 has one of the best single core performance available. I mean, not entirely single threaded, however, most operations will load a single thread or core at close to 100%, and one or two more threads at 50 to 60%, while the rest of the cores aren't loaded more than 20 to 30%. Anyway, I'm rambling. So that was a fairly simple project, less than a couple dozen polygons. So let's move on to something a bit more complex. I've sometimes noticed that Fusion 360 can have trouble with more organic models with thousands of polygons. It also likes quad mesh, so I'm bringing in a model with thousands of triangular polygons. This is a model I plan on printing, but it needs some supports added. And despite the density of the triangular mesh, there's absolutely no problems manipulating the model in the viewport. I was able to add multiple supports, even mixing in quad mesh objects with no problem. In the end, I easily added all the supports needed. So the first two projects went well, and I had no issues with designing in Fusion 360, so now let's look at its rendering performance. The first assembly I tested was a Raspberry Pi model. This is a moderately but not overly complex assembly with basic materials and some decals, but I've never had issues when rendering any reference images from it. First, I looked at the in-canvas rendering performance, which was not bad. I got good levels of detail within seconds, and the render seamlessly restarted as I changed and moved the perspective. As far as the static render, I picked a medium quality web preset for the render. The total render time came in at 1 minute and 47 seconds. Now, just like the previous videos, I'm using the same $700 i3 10100 PC I built for comparison. As far as the in-canvas rendering, the Raspberry Pi model performed without any noticeable difference on the PC. Selecting the same render settings, the PC rendered the image in 58 seconds, or about 45% faster than the Mac. So the RPi is about as complex of assembly that I typically work with in Fusion 360, but I wanted to try to push the Mac a bit farther, so I found this really cool SciFy tractor on the Fusion 360 gallery, and while it did take a few minutes to load the large 121 megabyte file, despite being a very complex assembly with more components and bodies than I could count, once it was loaded, I was able to pan, rotate, zoom, and maneuver the assembly in the viewport with no issues. As far as rendering, this time I picked a more detailed 1080p 2.1 megapixel settings. While viewport performance is generally single-threaded, rendering in Fusion 360 is a multi-threaded operation. Once the render is going, we can look at the system monitor and see that we're using about 100% of available CPU cores. However, as I expected, memory usage for this assembly is exceeding the 8 gigabytes of physical memory, and the system is leaning heavily on the SSD swap for the extra memory requirements. However, despite that, the render did complete in just 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Again, on the PC, load times and viewport performance were pretty much identical. While rendering, we can see that the PC is using 100% of all 8 CPU threads and using just over 12 gigabytes of memory. The PC rendered the image in 2 minutes and 26 seconds, this time only about 25% faster than the Mac. Okay, I'll wrap everything up at the end, but now I want to move on to the next tested application. Some of you guys know, if you watched the video I posted about it last month, that I recently purchased a 3D printer, and although I haven't put it to much work yet, I have been getting some maker projects like the one at the beginning of this video ready for printing. So designing and modeling the project in Fusion is the first step. To print it, it needs to be sliced and converted to Gcode, or a file that the 3D printer can read and execute. Now, the application I use is Ultimaker Cura. So I started with the T'Challa model, and the model scaled fine, and although took a bit longer, it did slice the model. However, when I went to preview the layers, I immediately saw a problem, and when I tried to slide through the layers, it immediately crashed the desktop. Now, I tried again with other models and ran into the same type of problem. However, as it did appear to slice the model and I was even able to output the Gcode, I tried turning on layer view compatibility mode, and that seemed to work. And it demonstrated why layer preview is important, because you can see that my 2 tower sections are not starting out at 0 on the Z-axis, which would have led to a failed print. Now, before compatibility mode dawned on me, I installed and tried PrusaSlicer to slice the model, and again, it did slice the model and appeared to give a layer preview, but anytime I tried to manipulate the layer preview at all, the application locked up. I eventually had to force quit the app. Now, because I got Cura working, I didn't try any more troubleshooting with Slicer, but if any of you guys watching are using an M1 Mac for 3D printing, let us know in the comments what software you're using and if you've run into any issues or were able to solve any potential issues. Okay, finally, as far as my 3D workflow, the 3D software I use the most is Autodesk 3ds Max. I've used it for a few of the videos on the channel. The original, admittedly too long intro for the channel was created, animated, and rendered with 3ds Max. Prior to starting this channel, I ran an architectural visualization business and did photorealistic interior and exterior renderings for clients. Unfortunately, 3ds Max isn't supported on Mac at all, and because there's no real way to run Windows apps on Apple Silicon devices yet, I'm not able to test that aspect of my workflow on the M1, but I know a very popular application for that type of work is SketchUp. Now, I took 1 or 2 online classes on SketchUp years ago and then never really used it, so I don't really have much experience with it. But I found a project online that is typical of something I might have done in 3ds Max and loaded it up. Now, again, I'm not a regular user, but the viewport response did feel a bit sluggish, and the simple textures and shading took what seemed like a bit too long to load on a scene change. Even a simple extrusion operation was not very smooth. Now, again, I don't have enough experience with SketchUp to read into any of this much deeper. I mostly kept it in the video to spark discussion. I mean, sound off in the comments if you're a SketchUp power user and let us know the type of system you have and what you would consider typical performance for a project like this. I'll put a link to this exact file in the description below if you want to test it out. I also wanted to try and render some views of this house using the V-Ray plugin. However, it's been a few days and I never received the download link for the evaluation copy I requested. Okay, let's wrap this up with my thoughts on how the M1 Mac handled my typical 3D design workload. First, Fusion 360 worked flawlessly for my particular workload. Fusion 360 is a hugely complex piece of software with many use cases, but I had 0 issues with the design aspect of the workflow. Viewport performance working with both the simple light tower project and more detailed T'Challa model was smooth and lag-free. Now, like every software package I've used on this Mac, the more complex the project, the more the lack of physical memory was apparent. Again, the Mac's use of available RAM and its SSD memory swap is exponentially more efficient than any Windows PC. So while 8 GB of RAM on a Mac significantly outperforms 8 GB of RAM on a PC, it doesn't outperform 16 GB. Capacity still beats efficiency. More on that in a sec, but first, as far as rendering, to be honest, I don't ever render anything in Fusion 360. I typically only do CAM type projects, parts or components that are going to be fabricated on a CNC or 3D printed. If I am going to render out visuals, I typically add the textures and materials in 3ds Max and render with V-Ray, but I know a lot of people do render out their projects, so I did include that. Now, again, like my After Effects testing, the 4-core PC did render out faster than the M1. However, a couple of points. First, even though the PC was up to like 45% faster, it did it drawing over 76 more power from the wall. So if performance per watt is important to you, then the Mac is the big victor there. Also, like After Effects, Fusion 360 isn't optimized for the M1 yet, so there could be some significant improvement when and if that happens. The problems I experienced with the slicing software were disappointing, however. Now, these are smaller, less distributed applications, so whether they're optimized for Apple Silicon is possibly less likely to happen quickly. And even though I was able to get Cura to work, with the loss of functionality in compatibility mode, like the inability to inspect the extrusion path of specific layers I'd want to check, I'd be hesitant to use the Gcode for actual printing. Again, there may be slicers that work flawlessly on the M1, but the two I'm familiar with, which are two of the most popular, were less than ideal. As far as SketchUp, again, I don't really have any broad insight other than what I showed earlier. Hopefully, the broader community out there will be able to add some more insight. Finally, ultimate conclusion. Would I recommend the base model M1 Mac Mini for a 3D creator? Well, sticking to the confines of the test parameters in this video, if you're an amateur or hobbyist Fusion 360 user and looking to get into the Mac or Apple ecosystem, then this would be the cheapest way to go. The 8-core CPU is plenty powerful for even some more advanced simulations, as long as your mesh isn't using up most of the memory. As far as professional or Fusion 360 power users, the answer is no, just because of the memory limitations. There is a limit to the size and complexity of the assembly you can work with. The more mesh you have, the more memory you need. As far as 3D printing enthusiasts, I would say that the M1 is a bit too immature for that, and I wouldn't recommend it until the software is more optimized. And that's it, guys. I'm just about at the end of my M1 Mac Mini experience, and I'll be wrapping it all up in my next video with my final conclusions on this interesting little system, and then shortly thereafter, I'll be sharing the final fate of this Mac. Will it go back in the box and on the shelf with all the rest of my tech inventory? To be honest, it wouldn't be the most expensive thing on that shelf. Or does it have a permanent job here, somewhere, doing something? Make sure you get subscribed if you're not already so you don't miss the conclusion to the series, as well as all the future stuff I've yet to make. Clicking that thumbs up would also be great. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe.